Hi and welcome to Millsy Mouse. It's my first face-to-face video. The reason I want to do face-to-face is because I'm actually going to give you tips on attacking, if you like, your exam and how is the best way to approach it really in a more solid way. I think some people throw that you get so much advice, and I know I'm just adding to that, but at the same time I think it's important that you just use what works for you actually. So I'm going to give you 5 tips today. 5, I've kind of thought about these 5. I like 5, so 5 tips, and they're quite general. You could probably use these on any subject, any level really. I mean, I teach generally GCSE, but I also teach Key Stage 3 and this an A level, and this will be applicable to most things, okay, but particularly at GCSE because it's such a long, there's so much content of it that I think you can get lost, get really lost. And although A level is very, very difficult, there's loads less to do. If you have your GCSE skills down, A level is not so, you kind of know where to go by then. By the time you've got to A level, you kind of know how to do these things, and it's just a case of working on them. So this is kind of GCSE mostly, okay, but it can be applicable to English, history, science, whatever really. So first, number 1 tip is that to just try and relax. So this sounds really weird, but during your revision, during your actual exam days, try and take a moment before you have your paper gets put down in front of you, before you just go straight into it. Oh my God, just take half a minute, 20 seconds, just to close your eyes and just kind of relax. Let your shoulders go, let your jaw relax, and just take a few deep breaths before starting. You might think, why would I waste 30 seconds or whatever? But it's not wasted. It will just calm the anxiety, calm anything that's going on inside. It will really, really help. And if you are finding yourself really anxious, I'd always recommend meditating like every evening, because that will help the anxiety, because that can really overpower everything. You can work so hard and then you get anxiety and you just can't see through anything. So I really would, if you suffer with it anyway, I'd advise meditating. It's very, very powerful. But definitely do it just for 30 seconds before any kind of exam starts. You can also do it, and it's good practice to do it during revision time. So if you're setting yourself a couple of hours of revision, get your revision stuff out, and then just take a moment, clear your mind of everything else that's going on in your life. You might have things going on, games you're in the middle of playing because, there's some war going on in Fortnite or whatever. So clear your mind really before you start doing work. What as teachers we forget is that you go from one lesson, English, to maths, then to science, then to history, then back to maths, then back to science. And I think, and we're like, well, why don't you remember this stuff from yesterday? It's not whether you've had so many things in between there. So clearing your mind just gets rid of anything else that was there before and puts it there. It still stays there, but it's just clearing that kind of immediate kind of space for you to do your revision, and in a very calm kind of manner. So that is my first tip. Okay, so just relax and try and have that moment before you start anything to do so. My tip number 2 is to on exam day, actually, it's more exam day, or certainly leading up to exam days or whatever, make sure you are eating well and drinking well. What I mean is that don't eat and drink lots, because you could end up in the toilet, or you could end up, during an exam, that can take up time in the toilet. You don't want to waste time in the toilet, and also you might feel ill if you overeat, so don't do that. So a light breakfast or light lunch, whatever you like. I wouldn't worry about anything other than just eat what you enjoy. Don't worry. There's nothing worse than trying to be on a diet during times like that. Just try and eat what you like. Just a light lunch, and then go in there, because it's not just that day either, it's leading up to. So look after yourself. Don't snack on rubbish and then skip meals. Just look after yourself. Eat properly. Have water. Plenty of water, and just try and be good and healthy and have it, and on that is slightly different from eating and drinking. Just having a bit of an early night, I'd say, before any exam day. If you've done revision well, you don't need to do cramming the night before. It's not really very healthy, and you won't perform at your best if you've had a really late night. You certainly don't want to be doing anything other than just chilling out, having an early night, maybe a nice bath, relax, and going straight to bed as early as you can. So that's my tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to structure. Now, I think this is I can't think what's more important out of my 5 tips. This is really, really important though. So structuring your timetable. So you work to your 6 weeks that you've got left, maybe 8 weeks, whatever you've got left. And every evening you want to study. You don't have to study every evening or every day, but every evening that you want to study, structure it into chunks of 30 minutes. So say, and I don't mean just do 30 minutes of maths and then 30 minutes of English and then 30 minutes of science, because that's far too vague. And you'll get to it and, what do I want to do in maths now? You'll end up spending 10 minutes figuring out what you want to do. Do this in advance. To spend a day doing this, spend a few hours doing this. So say Monday you want to do, in my last exam, I did really badly in my area things, area of trapezium, area of a triangle, circles, etc. So what you can say is, Monday, I'm going to recap all those things. Areas. Okay, just say areas. And then I'm going to do some poetry work in my English. Maybe specify which poem you want to look at, or which part of a book you want to look at. And science, they have modules in science, so you can just say, I want to do this particular unit on this day for half an hour. And then work to that, stick to it, try and stick to it as much as possible. Obviously things change. Do it maybe on a weekly basis, so just spend an hour or so, if you're just doing it for a week, just to go over and say, well, I didn't spend enough time on that one, so I'm going to have to put that one in. Or maybe you've had a lesson and you realise you really need to practice trigonometry, quadratics or something. So just plug them in, but spend half an hour on one topic. Don't try and do too much in one go. Don't say, right, Monday I'm going to do half an hour of maths and I'm going to try and cover completing the square, cubic graphs, trigonometric graphs, and circle theorems. You're just not gonna do it. You'll rush it. It won't be worth it. It will be almost completely pointless. So structure it. Be realistic, and give yourself some time off as well. So that's why I used to start early. So you allow yourself like Saturday off, maybe Friday night, Saturday off, and then work Sunday and work, a couple of hours each night. Okay, don't burn out. Don't go to bed late. Just try and do the best you can in the time you've got left, without being unrealistic with what you can do and what you can't do in that time. So that's my main. That's a really, really big one, structure, and most people don't do it, and it's such a shame. Ask your teachers if you need advice on structure. Get a timetable and just take it to them and say, look, these are my slots for maths. Can you help me put some specifics in there, what I need to build on? And they will do that for you. If you come to them in a good time where they've got time to do that with you, they will do that. I'm sure that they will help you, because especially if you're keen, then they'll always give you the time. So trust them. Okay, so that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is invest in some revision guides. You probably only need one. There's one I use, Pearson books, and they're very good. You get the higher and the foundation, and there are 2 books. One is a workbook and one is a revision guide, and they're really clever because they've got like each page is a guide on something, so trigonometry, and then on the same page on the workbook there's some questions on it, so you can literally do both of them at the same time. You can go and look at both and say, right, I'm going to do this page today, I'm going to do this page tomorrow, etc. And then at the front, and I think this is the most important bit as well, it's all very important, a very, very important part of it is the contents page. It will list everything, so you can just tick off as you master things, and as you do the sheet, you can just tick it off. So I've done that now, and okay. Or maybe you want to traffic light it. Say, I'm going to mark that, but I'm going to mark it red because I need to come back to it. I don't understand still. Maybe you need to speak to your teacher. Maybe you need to speak to your peers, or watch a video. Videos are great. I know that as a schools, most schools use either Maths Watch or Hegarty Maths. I'm sure there are others as well, but they're the two I know of, and the two are really, really good. Really, both of them are really good. They've got videos, all sorts of skills. You just search it up and say, completing the square, and it will come up with a video and you'll watch it. And I would just suggest pausing it, doing the clips, doing that, spending the time, because you don't know that that's not a 5-mark question on your exam paper. And if you spent half an hour on it and you didn't understand it before, that's 5 marks. That's huge. Okay, you really need to make sure, each mark is worth more than 1% per paper. So just spend the time. Okay, if you can't do something, don't discount it. Don't just go, doesn't matter, can't do that, that's fine. If it comes up, that's all right. It's a hard question. So just try. It's worth trying. It's worth, because you'll be proud of yourself if you get a really difficult question and you're really confident on it. And there's loads of resources for skills practice. But getting a revision guide, I'd say that I use the Pearson one's really good. CGP are a fantastic publishing unit as well. So CGP do really, really, really good books, and that's another kind of one you can look for. As long as they've got contents with all the skills in there, and you can just tick them off as you go along. That's probably the best thing to do. And my 5th and final kind of tip, if you like, is to make sure you are not only doing the skills. The skills are great, and you need those. That is what you start with from year 9 onwards. You do lots of skills, algebra, number, etc., everything. But if you can't apply them to an exam paper, then it's only so powerful. So you need to be able to, and for the application practice, you really, really need to be practicing those papers. And it could be that I'm going to give you a few ways you can do this. You can print off the papers online. If you want to know places to find them, I can attach them below. Just comment and I'll just put them on there. But they are accessible. Teachers can get hold of more generally, and they can find things better. But if you're at home and maybe you haven't got anything, just Google it and find it. And then often you can find mark schemes, so you can see the answers. And even more important than that, there are people, myself included, on some papers, that have physically the solutions, worked solutions. You can listen to somebody doing the same paper. So once you have done your paper, you can say, which paper is this? Look at it. Go onto YouTube, say paper, whatever it is, make sure it's what it's called. It could be a mock paper, or it could be an actual past papers. Past papers are great because there's loads of people that do them, and you'll get lots and lots of people that will go through them in different ways as well. So you find the best person for you to listen to. So I think that's a really good idea to print the mark scheme, or just find somebody that actually can go through it after you've completed as much as you can. And please do not fall into the trap of sitting down, doing a paper and leaving the questions that you can't do, thinking, I'll check that later with my teacher, or I'll sort that out later, because you won't. It'll end up at the bottom of your bag or in a bin somewhere at some point. You just won't do that. Straight away, I would, as soon as you've got some time, maybe put a big highlighter on it, straight away, go and find the solution. Watch somebody doing the question, or even just attempt it, and then watch somebody doing the question. That is probably the best thing to do, really, because then you learn. You kind of know. You don't know the question inside and out until you've tried it. If you're just reading it, say, can't do it. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and go with a blank bit of paper with, can't do it. Well, you haven't actually tried. And I get sometimes it's hard to start, and you might need a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. But as you get practice these questions, they're all very, very similar. And there's only so many ways an examiner can ask about circle theorems. That is one that the same thing comes up. Same things come up all the time. You know, especially at GCSE, they're just, as long as you know them, what to look out for and tips, you know, that people will tell you. And as you're going through these papers, what will happen is as the teacher talks through a question, they might give you more advice that might be relevant to another question. And that circle theorems is a really good one, because most circle questions, you have to, it always seems to be about the centre. So always draw a radius to the centre. And if you always add lines, and you might not think to do that until you've done some practice questions, you've got someone else explaining to you about that. Because I think learning at home, watching a video of someone explaining something is different to in a classroom environment. So you have to work on what works for you, but essentially try as much things as you can. And that's a big one, practice papers. And I would say every few weeks do one practice paper per subject at least, every couple of weeks maybe, and get it properly marked. Do it in an hour and a half, do it properly marked, and see where you are really, because that's important, and see where your gaps are, so you can then go around the loop again, go back, look at your skills, go back, look at some more questions. On my channel there are lots of topic exam solutions. So what you can do is just search, I don't know, there's ratio, Pythagoras, there's all sorts of different things. So if there's anything that you think, oh, I don't know how to do that, it's just one question, so it's normally just between 5 and 10 minutes. Pause it, have a go, watch me do it, and that's just one question. You don't have to do a whole paper, you just do one question at a time, that's fine. Okay, do things like that. If that works for you, great. If doing a whole paper works for you, okay, great, just do that. Okay, so that is 5 tips for me. Pausing, keeping yourself hydrated and fed during and before your exam period. Structure, revision work guides to practice your skills in maths, and fifth one, the last one, is practice papers. Okay, so that's it for me. This is my first face-to-face video, so hope you enjoyed some of it. I took something from it. Hopefully you did. Please feel free to comment down below if you feel you've got more tips to give people, or you want me to do more about something else. I am constantly uploading exam solutions. If there's anything you particularly want me to go through, I can always find questions to go through and to put on there as a solutions as well. So, okay, happy studying, guys.